When it comes to superheroes, the chances are you likely have a preconceived notion of what this term and genre involves. As one of the most popular genres, this largely can be credited to the success of franchises like the Marvel Cinematic Universe in marketing film and TV to a large demographic of both children and adults. It is rare that you find dark and more sinister themes in these projects for this reason, as although this exists in moderation, going full-blown gritty and nihilistic would largely neglect such a large portion of this audience. However, naturally, audiences evolve, such as Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, due to the success of movies The Batman, and James Mangold's Logan, just to name a few. Audiences have begun to favour superhero projects that lean into a darker, more sadistic tone, causing studios to produce projects that execute this. Perhaps the prime example of this is the TV show Invincible. Based on the comic book of the same name and created by Robert Kirkman, the show premiered in 2021 and quickly received high praise, holding a 98% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a similarly high audience score. The episode that perhaps best represents how the show subverts the superhero genre is the last episode of Season 1 titled Where I Really Come From. In this episode, Mark Grayson, also known as the superhero Invincible, discovers the origins of his father, known as the superhero Omni-Man, who reveals his real purpose on Earth is to conquer and enslave humanity for the Viltrum Empire, the civilization of his home planet. This premise is significantly darker than traditional superhero narratives, as in the episode we see flashbacks of the brutality of the Empire, who carried out a genocide of their own people so that only the strongest remained. This immediately subverts expectations. Superheroes are people we as an audience see as protectors, as people we can aspire to be like. Here, the most powerful superhero in the show admits to being involved in brutal massacres of hundreds of civilizations and details his plans to enslave humanity. He admits to murdering his own friends, the Guardians of the Globe, who helped him save lives multiple times, and even compares his wife to a pet. This is certainly an intelligent play on the genre. Superheroes are often portrayed as perfect figures. They're shown to be more powerful than their foes, and they are often morally righteous, always willing to sacrifice themselves for others. Superheroes like Superman have been marketing to audiences in this way for almost a century because they were created to act as inspirational role models for younger audiences, whilst remaining marketable to large demographics. As detailed by McSweeney, you can discern a great deal about society from its heroic mythology, those exemplary figures it selects to be a manifestation of its highest values. Invincible takes the exact opposite approach. Instead of creating an ideal hero that we should aspire to emulate, it instead provides a harsh reality that asks a difficult question. If superheroes did exist, can we be confident that they would embody these perfect ideals? Or would they be incredibly flawed, perhaps even dangerous figures that could destabilize society within an instant and cause barbaric chaos? Invincible does a good job at subverting the genre thematically, but it is beyond important that we do not neglect to mention its visual subversion. As Gilmore and Stork argue, superhero films can be seen as a site of discursive conveyance, where digital images reflect essential features of digital transformation that define our contemporary mediascape. Digital images communicate broader cultural ideas and values. In this case, the extreme violence displayed in Invincible reflects a shift in how the genre represents power, using its animated form to depict the consequences of superhuman ability in a far more graphic and unsettling manner, perhaps providing a commentary on how people use power today. As an animated show, Invincible can afford to be more graphic and dramatic with its violence. In this episode, one of the most graphic scenes in the entire show happens when Omni-Man forces his son's body through a moving train full of civilians, using him as a human shield, whilst dozens of passengers are crushed and killed on impact. This scene is bloody, disturbing, and graphic, and is deliberately prolonged to make the audience feel severely uncomfortable. Instead of watching hopeful or inspiring visuals, they watch a destructive and horrific sequence that demonstrates the consequences of superpowers used without any restraint, immediately turning the entire genre on its head. Rather than the hero being the protector, the hero becomes the destroyer, and rather than protecting innocent lives, he becomes the direct cause of civilian deaths. Invincible represents a wider shift in the superhero genre as a whole. Rather than celebrating and glorifying human power, it attempts to question the consequences of such a concept. It is cynical rather than overly hopeful, and it is realistic about what a world of superheroes may look like.